I always kind of compare them to horses because, if you've looked at a big herd of horses, you've kind of got your old bell mare who's number one, and then there's a number two, a number three, a number four, and all the way down the line. There's not like 5 leaders. There's a leader, and then there's a hierarchy. And that same thing takes place for the most part within this bison herd too. Some of these cows are my leaders, and it's more of a dominant subordinates thing, but there's a pecking order throughout that herd, and that's a vital part of managing these animals too, that if you can convince those older lead cows that this is a good thing, everybody else is going to follow. And each time that you harvest throughout the herd or harvest within the herd, you're changing that social structure. And so you've got to be cognizant of that as you work with the animals, and not there's cows in here that I don't ever want to come out of the herd because they're too important to me for managing them and managing them on my grass. So it's important to me to know that social structure of that herd and how to work with it. The bulls, it's just the same as with white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, all your other major ungulates. It's kind of wired into them, but these bulls will be with the cows during the breeding season, and then they want to be off and be grumpy old men the rest of the time. So those bulls like to pull away from the herd and do their own thing. And I used to try to, had that cow mentality. I was going to force them right back in where they're supposed to be. And I've learned now that my life's a lot easier and their life's a lot easier if I let them decide where they want to be away from the herd and just leave them be. And then when it's time for them to go to work, they're eager to go to work. They want to go to where I want them to go. Works a lot better. He's content there, and if he's content, then I'm content. And so I'm going to let him be happy right there. And I'll drive around him, and no use in making more work for both of us, because if I were to push him over here, he'd want to go right back, and he's a lot bigger than I am. So I can go out and kick these bison and sit there for an hour or 2 hours looking at them and thoroughly be enjoyed. It's weird. I never found myself doing that with cattle. I could look at cows for a while, but after a while I was still looking at a cow. And I can find myself looking at these buffalo for an hour or 2 hours sometimes, just watching them. They're just fun to watch, especially on this landscape. When you watch a herd of bison go across this big open prairie, it's pretty cool. Your imagination takes hold and you start to think, wow, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, that's pretty cool.